So now it's time to talk about the final haunt of the long weekend in Southern California, and that would be Six Flags Magic Mountain, one of my favorite theme parks on the planet. Obviously, getting all the coaster credits is what I do, and the only thing that still eluded me is going to be Magic Flyer and Superman, because to this day I still don't count Superman as a ride, and it's definitely not a coaster, even though it technically is. But still, I had an opportunity to ride it and I wasn't able to take it, and then it just went down and didn't come back up the rest of the night. So yeah, that was a thing. But yeah, all the other credits I was able to knock out. And getting ahead of ourselves, I was actually able to ride Viper again. I was able to ride X2 again, and I was actually able to get on Ninja at night, as well as experience another ride through of Wonder Woman, which I almost have. It doesn't give me as much pain as riding the Matterhorn does, but proven once again, RMC Raptors are not my friend, and I was about halfway through the maze, take a shot, the ride itself before I realized that, yeah, this is not the right ride for me. So hopefully the ride vehicles, when they improve, if they ever do, I'll be able to enjoy them more. But as of right now, I'm not a majorly a fan. So Fright Fest will be the last place on the schedule when it comes to the haunts. So yeah, we got there a little bit later than I would like to have, but I mean, that's how things worked out with the plans. But yeah, we got there, we had express access basically to get us on the mazes faster, I guess you would say, in essence. The thing about Fright Fest, which is different from Knott's and Universal, is the fact that basically they make the mazes e-tickets. So pretty much, for all intents and purposes, you can be there until the event is over, but you can't go through a maze unless you have like a wristband. So yeah, we was able to experience the 8 mazes at Six Flags Fright Fest, which is funny because I talked about Knott's being the 50th. Unbeknownst to me, Six Flags Fright Fest was actually celebrating their 30th. So yeah, that was kind of cool. And to be there for the 8 mazes, as well as the 2 newest mazes based on intellectual properties of Saw X and The Conjuring. One thing I want to say right now is one of the things about it is Saw and The Conjuring didn't open with the actual event itself. It actually waited a while. And it's interesting because I kept seeing that they got pushed back, and I have no idea what it's about. I didn't do any research. I'm going into this video blind, like literally blind. I had no knowledge about any of this event whatsoever until I went to it. But I will say that everything opened up, so I was able to see all of the mazes, so that was a good thing and definitely well needed. So, did everything. We talked about the roller coasters in a little bit before we started, and the next thing that happened is had some Tillamook for the first time. Very well-respected ice cream brand. I was able to have Tillamook ice cream before I went into the event, so that was cool. And we went into Fright Fest, did not know what to expect, and given the fact that Separate Ways was played, obviously the real version of Separate Ways, in tune with its involvement in Stranger Things Season 4, at Universal Studios Hollywood, a dubstep version, which I never asked for and never wanted, version was playing to start the event. There was a DJ that was right in the middle of the courtyard, right in front of Full Throttle. And another thing, I was kind of sad that I wasn't able to ride Full Throttle or Twisted Colossus this trip, but I was able to get X2 in, which was not what I was not anticipating because I got lucky, and I actually got the fire effect, so that was cool. Didn't get that in January when I rode it. I don't like EDM, I don't like dubstep, and oh boy, this was not a good start to the night. I put EDM plus fire equal edgelords. Okay, that's what I have my notes here. DJ in front of Full Throttle, playing various popular music. Everyone was standing in front of the DJ stage. There were 4 preteen girls that were just standing there getting down. Everybody else was like, what's going on? It makes no sense. About 7:10, the event started at 7 o'clock, mind you. We actually started to see characters walk through Carnival Hell, or Carniv Hell. The wording of that is terrible. Yeah, it was. There was barely anybody there. Event just got started. Didn't seem like it was very populated with characters. That seems to be a theme this year. Needless to say, it was fine. It was fine for what it was. Really, kind of just a walk through. The streets were that way for me, honestly. We'll get to that in a minute. Went to the Condemned house party. Condemned was a maze that started out in 2018 as Forever Damned. Basically, it was like a house with like spirits and everything, and it got turned into a house party this year. And one thing I like about it, there was a duck down, because you had to duck down underneath a beam, which is something I remember from Universal Past. Very fun atmosphere, like welcoming you to the party, like party goers holding drinks and like directing you where to go. It really felt like you were in a frat party. Thought that was really well done, and a good atmosphere for the maze and a good backstory for the maze itself. One of the things I absolutely loved, and this is what makes it head and shoulders above almost every other maze at Fright Fest. So at one point they had a choose your direction. So this character would stand in the middle, and there are two very thin walls on the left and right side. So obviously, in order to be able to progress through the maze, you need to inch your way, Scott Hall walk your way, rest in peace, through the little crevice that's to the side of the wall. I mean, it's a dangerous spot. I mean, there's like literally this much space. And 2023 me was like, oh yeah, let's go, let's do this. 2013 me would have been like, no, there's no way, I can't do it. But yeah, I was able to Scott Hall walk my way through. It was basically just a pathway that was taken. There wasn't anything on the actual path itself, like for example, whether you went straight or you went through the literal nooks and crannies of the house. There was one thing that you didn't experience, and that was anything really. It was basically just a pathway, and there wasn't anything that would get you on one way versus the other way, kind of like Alien versus Predator. The best way I can describe it is it was just a means to get to the end, quite literally, and I loved every second of it because it felt so good to be able to inch my way through this tiny little crevice. I very much enjoyed it, and that's one of the things that really sold me on Fright Fest right away. Went to Vault 666 Unlocked. There was a spiel at the beginning, kind of introducing you to kind of like antiquities, and basically telling you that everything is for sale. The only thing that they take is not money, it's your soul. And I like the concept of this, actually. This started in 2014, and it added the Unlocked moniker in 2019, so 5 years later it did that. I will say that I love the pre-show. It's very well decorated, a Victorian look in every way possible. I'm not going to talk much about the actual scares themselves. There were a few that were really good, but for the most part, it was very visual. I enjoyed the visuals that I got to see at Fright Fest more than anything. So 728 was Condemned House Party, 733 was Vault 666 Unlocked, and 740 we went to Truth or Dare. Truth or Dare as the concept of a canceled game show where you get to experience Truth or Dare, and I love the concept of a game show. Very 50s feeling, felt like Run, honestly, in every way possible. Two entrances you could go in on the left or right side. Either way, you end up in the same place. Done in the style of a game show, which right away that just got me. There's this really cool effect where you're walking through these inflated walls, and they have projection mapping of bees, because you're going through like a beehive and you see a beekeeper on the opposite side. I thought that was really well done, and something I've not seen before, projection mapping done on the inflatable walls. I thought that was really cool. It took me back to like Poltergeist back in the day when I remember doing that for the first time. The water laser effect of going through the splash zone, I love that. That was really cool, very well done. Really fun scares, a really fun atmosphere. I enjoyed it. And there were bungee scares. That was really well done. And obviously, because the first maze I absolutely loved going into Halloween Horror Nights 22 was my second maze ever. And the reason that got me to the event, Penn and Teller Nuke Las Vegas, which ended with an evil clown with a chainsaw at the very end, just when you thought it was over. And of course, they chase you out. We had a chainsaw that chased you out with this maze as well, and I loved every second of it. Truth or Dare, solid maze. Walked over to DC, basically kind of just checked the wait times and everything. There was a DJ just chilling out there. Territory Twisted over by the steampunk area that is over by Twisted Colossus. Not many characters there, but yeah, the atmosphere was cool. There was lights everywhere in DC Universe. It kind of like a mixture of Mardi Gras and Christmas all together. The Christmas bulbs they used that were decorated, I thought that was well done, and they were used like there were lights everywhere, kind of like The Purge, honestly. Intense clowns in every way possible. I thought that was really well done. There was a chained gauntlet scare zone called the Dead Zone, which we walked through. That was kind of cool. It kind of gave me vibes of like the Terror Tram and like Rat Race and like basically like the maze where you're basically just walking around and you had fences everywhere. Speaking of that, so that would be 832 to Aftermath Chaos Rising. So yeah, it's utilized as literally a queue for Apocalypse, and this started, according to my notes here, started in 2013, and it got the moniker of Chaos Rising in 2016. You're literally walking through the queue. It's very long, very winding, very confusing, and so much to a bad degree, actually. So much that it was kind of like your character should be worried about trying to usher you through and scare you forward, not try to confuse you and get you to move. I didn't like that. It wasn't very well done. The concept was cool, trying to get you out of the area before bad things happen, but it was a cool way to utilize an outdoor scare zone, turn into a house, basically. And it was, it was what it was. 846, we got into our IP maze of the evening, and that was The Conjuring. Interestingly enough, Conjuring merch is everywhere. There's actually Six Flags branded Conjuring merchandise. There's no branded merchandise with Six Flags logo and the Saw logo. That's very interesting. There was a character in the first room that was doing preparing you and everything, doing a Lorraine Warren shtick, and very well cast, actually. The Lorraine Warren they had very much looked like Vera Farmiga, and I thought it was done really well. There was actually a lot of earthy smells and characters coming out of the literal ground. That was really well done. Something that I remember from the film, obviously, is the clap and everything. I thought that was really well done. It was a fun interactive experience and really interesting way to utilize the arcade space. I really thought that was well done. That's basically what I can say about The Conjuring. 921 went to Willoughby's Resurrected. So this is the first maze ever in the history of Not Scary Farm. And whoa, take a shot. I just looked at the wrong notes. This is the first maze ever, rewind that back, at Six Flags Fright Fest. It was called Willoughby's Haunted Mansion, and that started when the event started in 1993, and it ran all the way to 2021, where it got the Resurrected moniker. This is the only maze, and I'll be honest, I have no problem admitting this. This is the only maze that got me. 100%. This is the only maze in the entire run of the three mazes that I got to go through, the three various mazes, three various haunts, three various houses, three various events I got to go through that actually got me. And it's only because they caught me off guard. There is a room that you would walk into, kind of like a living room, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I came around the other corner, and of course, when you come around a corner, you never know what you're gonna get. And of course, there was a character like right in the middle and just got me. Like, it's just, kudos, 100%. Good job, sir. You did a great job. I really liked it. Old school haunted house vibes. I really enjoyed the atmosphere. Well done in every way possible. 935. Who knew that Six Flags had a 3D maze? So I was walking in and they gave me Chroma Depth 3D glasses. I was like, okay, this is something I haven't done in a long time. Universal hasn't done it in quite a long time, so it's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I went through Sewer of Souls. Really well done. Inflatable walls, 3D effects, black light paint, just the vibrant colors, same thing you'd expect. This started out in 2018. It was fine. It was good use of the aesthetic of going through a sewer. I thought that was well done. So 9:45, we completed the 8 with our run through Saw X. Now, Saw X, of course, was the longest wait of the night, surprisingly to no one. There were a few traps that were utilized from the new movie. Like, if you've seen the new movie, you would see, like, the mask trap and the eye trap. But mainly, they utilized a lot of the greatest hits, kind of like what Universal did with their Saw mazes in the past, like the Needle Pit and the bathroom with Adam and Dr. Gordon. It's like, yeah, it was a lot of just basically just watching what was happening in front of you. A lot of pig masks going everywhere. Billy the Puppet's in the maze itself. You don't see Tobin Bell at all. So you never see John Kramer in the maze. You never see Amanda. So it's interesting because Saw X, of course, is all about both of them, and they're not in the maze in Six Flags. Thought that was interesting. I'm curious to see how the other Saw X mazes are, if it's a carbon copy, if it's a various version, if you go to another Six Flags park. But yeah, Magic Mountain's version had more than made up for it with the mixture of previous mazes, like greatest hits from the Saw series, mixture with the Saw X storyline. Of course, going from the facility to the very bright rooms and going into all the various things of the entire franchise. And ending with a very weird finish of the maze with having text on a black wall, very much feeling like Resident Evil. And weirdly enough, there was no characters in that room. It was just kind of there, and it's like, yep, it's over. Bye. So yeah, it was fine. And 10:50, me and Troy got to go through Truth or Dare one more time. Great run through. The people in front of us are freaking out like crazy. I loved every second of it. I just sat back and watched back. And when we got to the end of the maze, that person just literally took off, and it was great. At one point, I was behind Troy, and the next thing you know, Troy's like looking around. He's going through the splash zone room, and all of a sudden he sees a different person behind him. He's like, that's not Owen. And the next thing you know, this guy just takes off running, and I'm just standing there laughing hysterically. Sometimes that's what haunts are made of, just to sit back and just watch other people's reactions. Love Truth or Dare, and it was a great run through to end the night. Easily, my top 8 probably would have changed a little bit if I would have gone through a couple more times, just like with Hollywood and Knott's, but easily to say with just one go through and 2 run throughs of Truth or Dare, my number 8 is Aftermath Chaos Rising. Very confusing, not in a good way. Sometimes it needs to be disorienting, I get that, but it just took it to the nth degree. I didn't like that. Vault 666 is enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Next, Sewer of Souls, the gimmick of using the blacklight paint and the Chromadept 3D glasses, thought that worked really well for me. The Conjuring's number 5. Well done, good representation of the movie. I'd love to see what you would get with the Universal budget, so hopefully we get The Conjuring somewhere down the line, but I don't know if we're going to work with Warner Brothers again. I guess we'll see what happens. Based on what rumors are going around right now around social media, it sounds like Warner Brothers might be owned by Universal at some point, so who knows if that happens or not. I guess you will see what happens there. Saw X was number 4. Like I said, if you're a fan of the franchise, you'll love this maze, 100%, especially because it takes a lot of stuff from the past and also stuff from the present as well. Willoughby's has to be number 3 because it got my only scare of the entire event, and it was just a really well-done haunted house maze. I enjoyed it. Very, very well executed. Number 2 is Condemned House Party. Obviously, it would have been number 1 because I loved going through the literal nook and cranny of the walls. I thought that was really well done. A lot of really entertaining characters. This would have been a great house to be a part of, honestly. I would love to have been in this house, actually, if I could have picked anything that I would have been able to do in California when it comes to Six Flags mazes. It definitely would have been to go to Condemned, or obviously number 1, just Truth or Dare. Shock Surprise. They're a fantastic house. And from what Troy tells me, it wasn't really well received last year when it first started, and they changed a bunch of things, and for the better, and they made it a very solid maze. So yeah, Truth or Dare, solid. That ends my Hollywood experience. That ends my LA experience, my Valencia experience, my Santa Clara experience. Yeah, my California haunt adventure is over. And who knows if I'll get any more haunts in 2023. I guess that remains to be seen. You'll know by now by the time you see these videos, probably months later. Yeah, that's your video for today. And once again, thank you to Troy for being able to facilitate these trips to Universal Studios Hollywood, as well as Not Scary Farm for the 50th and Six Flags Fright Fest at Magic Mountain for the 30th. So, great success. That being said, if you have any ideas for Sip and Snack or versus any other regular segments on the network, feel free to shoot me an email, surroanddisney@gmail.com. So in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.